Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, dear subscribers of official page. Today we have an amazing and unique guest who came from the United States, Mr. Noah Tucker. Hello, Mr. Noah Tucker.
Hi.
How have you been?
I'm well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
That's great. So, can you introduce yourself for our subscribers shortly?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Noah. I'm from the U.S. I was born in Indiana and lived all over the place. I'm an associate at the George Washington University Central Asia program in the Elliott School of International Affairs, and I have some other affiliations, but that's my primary one.
Thank you so much for your time. We understand that you came from United States, it's miles away from Kazakhstan, and well, I think we should start. And first question is, could you tell us how did you know about Jusan operation and what arose your interest for this?
I found out about Jusan actually a little bit before it happened. I became primarily interested in it because during you might know, I worked on a documentary film series called Not in Our Name that was produced by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. And when we were doing that project, I met with a lot of families in Kazakhstan who had lost their sons and daughters sometimes, but they knew that their grandchildren were still in Syria, and they shared their stories with us. And when I had the opportunity to meet them, I felt like this was a really important problem, and I was encouraged to see that there were many people in Kazakhstan who also felt this was a very important problem. And I was really thrilled when I found out that Operation Jusan was announced, and I am really happy and very relieved that many of the families that I met who told me about their grandchildren, have been returned and are living with them now. And I think this is just a fantastic achievement.
Thank you. We're trying. So, have there ever been operations similar to Jusan in history of American intelligence services or rehabilitation centers? If you know any information about it.
I don't know that there's anything quite exactly like Jusan. I mean, we've participated. The United States has throughout its history tried to be very welcoming to refugees. In the time after World War II, there were millions of refugees and displaced people who were resettled in the United States. But there hasn't been anything quite like Jusan, so I think it's really remarkable and a really important achievement for Kazakhstan.
Okay. All right. Is there any destructive religious movements in the United States? And if so, do the movements take their roots from Islam or any other religion?
Well, destructive religious movements is not exactly a term that we use, but there are many violent social movements in the United States. We have a lot of problems, in particular with far-right groups and nationalist and racist groups, especially, and of course we've had problems with terrorist groups as well. I don't think that these groups really have anything to do with the larger religions that they might claim to belong to. They are, we understand that Islam, Christianity, all of the other many religions that are practiced in Kazakhstan or the United States or elsewhere are peaceful, and that any kind of group that claims to act on their behalf but does violence is obviously not really part of that religion.
Okay, thanks. That was a good answer. So another one question is linked with Taliban. As we know that Taliban became the rulers of Afghanistan now, there was some jokes about Kabul's skydiving club. Yeah, I understand maybe it's sounds like something funny, but there is no issue without the real reason, right? So, and governments of all countries recognize this organization as terrorist organization. Then, have you ever rehabilitated their victims? And can you tell us about your experience?
Well, I'm not a specialist in rehabilitation, so that would be a question. This
question actually was for another one guest.
Yeah, that would be a question probably for others. But I know that there are tens of thousands of refugees from Afghanistan who were evacuated. So it is a little bit similar to Drusan, but different. And many of those refugees are being resettled in the United States. And you know, we can only hope, I think, to support them as well as you're supporting returnees from Syria.
So yeah, I see the huge job you do. That's amazing. And the last question I wanted to ask you, as a specialist, as a professional, which advice you can give us how to prevent radicalization in society?
I mean, I think the first thing, I guess, the first piece of advice is that I think in my work and in others' work, and you know, my work is the least of it, there are, in general, there's agreement in the field that it's important not to look at any one single cause, not to only think about people's different religious beliefs or ideology or something like that. For every 10 people who are recruited, say, to ISIS in Syria, they come often from 10 completely different situations, and often they are going for very different reasons. And many times, in the case of women and children, they don't choose to go at all. They don't have a whole lot of choice or agency in what's happening. So I think it's important to be clear about what our goals are. If our goals are that we want to prevent, for example, children from being taken to Syria or to Afghanistan or joining a violent group of some kind, then we'll have a very different approach for that. And sometimes focusing only on recruitment or focusing only on ideas or behaviors may not help us be effective. So I think we need to think about broad causes and more than just about people's beliefs, or especially about their religion.
There's many other reasons, you know, you're right, absolutely. All right, that was all. Thank you for your answers.
Okay, I don't know if they were helpful, but
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, subscribers. Follow our page. It was Mr. Noah Tucker. Goodbye.